Welcome to episode number 60. We are those Muckrakers, and we might be even closer to wrapping up the whole podcast because I don't know about you, Pat, but I feel like saying mission accomplished.
I sure do, Pete, and those words have never been ominous when uttered before.
Especially when you put a giant banner up behind yourself while wearing a flight suit. Hey-oh! God,
I'm the Satyr.
I hate myself sometimes.
Ha, you are. Okay, so I had everything all planned out. I had the thumbnail for this episode, I have the name for this episode, everything was ready to go, and I was so excited to launch the whole cow episode, right? From start to finish, the secret cow level episode. And then, like, an hour before we went to record, the Mueller Report drops. Seriously? Here?
Not really. Like, it didn't drop. It just, like, it's done, but no one gets to see it for an indeterminate amount of time.
Yeah. Oh, we should do introductions. I'm Pat.
Yeah. And I'm Pete. I'm Hollywood Pete. I don't really have a good name for myself. I'm trying to fake the energy that I don't have today.
I'm Youngster Pat. and I actually have energy, unlike the last two episodes. Last two episodes we decided to record in the morning instead of at night, and I'm not a morning person, but Peter is, so he's like jacked in the morning episodes. He's like, hell yeah, let's do this all the time, and I'm like, no.
I'm not a morning person by choice. I've just been getting up in the morning for so many years now that just my body has, like, you know, been like, I guess, okay, it said goodbye to the young, like, I'm gonna stay up and conquer the night. Now it's like, you know what I'd enjoy.
I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello.
My body's all like, you know what I enjoy now? A nice quiet morning and a cup of tea.
And some fava beans and a nice Chianti. But So what was I saying? But yes,
you were talking about Devin Nunes and the fucking goddamn lawsuit. God, what an idiot.
So this is a spectacular thing that happened this week. It's so very beautiful. It's all too beautiful to quote a song, which I don't remember who sung it, but it doesn't matter anyway because I'm just buying time while I pull up the notes. Okay, so Devin Nunes...
You can't sue the internet. Like, that's just... I want to throw that out there just off the top here with Devin Nunes.
Now, if anyone doesn't recognize the name Devin Nunes, you should, because we talked about him in our very first episode. Muckrakers episode 1 was about this asshole, because he tried to, like, pass off a memo that he wrote himself, and the memo basically said, no collusion, Trump is innocent, and he just handed it out, and for some reason he tried to pretend like that had any credibility at all. But here he is, a year later, trying to sue Twitter for people being mean to him. And
well, he got kicked off. He got kicked off the House Intelligence Committee because he was just like running all the information. Yeah, he was running all the information like as quick as he could on his little toddler legs straight back to the president.
If I can, Skype like lagged for a second, so I think we probably blurted over each other, but. Yeah, he was kicked off the House Intelligence Committee whenever the Dems took over. But before that, he was Trump's perfect little tool, perfect little mushroom hugger man.
Devin Nunes.
But anyway,
he's my perfect angel, my little angel baby.
Mario, Nunes is in the castle tonight. Oh. So
yeah, this fucking asshole.
So he decided to sue Twitter for $250 million because people were being mean to him. And in particular, Nunes named two different parody Twitter accounts. One was Nunes' mom and the other was Nunes' cow. And here's my favorite part of the whole thing. The actual lawsuit read, quote, in her endless barrage of tweets, Devin Nunes' mom maliciously attacked every aspect of Nunes' character. Come on, how fucking funny is that?
Objection, Your Honor. Devin Nunes has no character. Hey-oh, up top, Your Honor. What? No? Okay.
So, Devin Nunes' cow, on the other hand, when Nunes released this lawsuit, Nunes' cow had 1,200 followers on Twitter. Following the lawsuit coming out, it instantly spiked to over 400,000 followers within about 11 hours, which is more than the real Devin Nunes has.
Well, I know that Devin Nunes doesn't know the story about the Hydra, but that's what happens when you attack Twitter. Every time you cut the head off, you try to cut the head off one account, like it spawns 400,000 followers. You know.
Yeah. You just gotta hashtag be butter.
Yeah.
Got to do better than that.
You
The Nunes Cal story proved that it is better to keep silent and be thought a fool than to file a lawsuit on a parody Twitter account and remove all doubt.
Do you
To
think-
quote a tweet I saw going around.
Do you think that if we sued a Twitter account, that maybe our Twitter followers would go up?
No, Devin Nunes' followers didn't go up, just the cows.
I know, but
We'd
just
have to make like we'd have to make like a fake Nunes account and then declare that he's suing Muckrakers, and then people go to Muckrakers.
Well, I'd like to welcome you to a new edition of Those Nuneses. I'm Pete Nunes.
And I'm Pat Nunes.
And together we are the Nunes brothers. Maybe that'll get him to sue us.
Wild Nunes.
You know, if we did get sued for this podcast, I would just stop podcasting, or I would just ignore it. I would just keep podcasting and pretend it wasn't happening.
And of course, the Nunes story segues directly into our human centipede news for the week.
Oh no.
Yeah. So an image of Putin, Trump, and Nunes in a human centipede was submitted as evidence in the lawsuit filed by a sitting member of Congress, which means that it's not only suddenly okay for network TV to show off an image of these three in a human centipede, but they can also make it into t-shirts and sell it. Also, they're making it into t-shirts and selling it. So get your own. Remember, Putin's the A, Trump is the B segment, and Nunes is the C segment, and they're all one long human centipede.
How?
And you can get that. You can get Cal merchandise shirts. And a lot of this is going to Nunes' Cal's legal fees, by the way, because Nunes' Cal is being sued. But he has the support of the internet behind him.
I might actually buy a Nunes' Cal shirt just because that's great.
Yar.
So are you ready for a new segment that I've come up with for us?
Now, I know what everyone's thinking at this point. What about the Mueller Report? We'll get to that. That's our big
We'll
news
get
story
to
of the
that!
day.
We got fun stuff to talk about first.
Exactly. Before we rage, let us be delighted for a scant few moments.
And I wish we could go back and post and put music to this, but I'll just try to do my best. This is a new segment. It's a new segment I like to call It Was the Perfect Crime. All right. It was the perfect crime. A Texas Catholic priest arrested after allegedly molesting a woman while giving her last rites.
What? Wait, so she's
I'm sorry.
dead at this point?
The static and your reaction combined to make just the perfect, like, old man.
So he's just... Wait, so... Is this necrophilia, or was she, like, alive but about to not be?
She was alive
She's
but
like,
about to not be, which is why I say it was the perfect crime. 'Cause
Shit!
You're gonna molest somebody.
Wait! She's like... Yeah, do whatever they can't, testify like a second later. It's like, priest, my last request is to not be molested on my deathbed. Well, we can't always get what we want.
Well, it gets better. It says the woman who wasn't identified said, I think his name is Lanch, first anointed her chest with holy water, then began to apply lotion to her body and massage her breast. At one point, he allegedly pinched her nipple and asked, "Does that feel good?" before attempting to put his hand in her diaper, which he was unable to do.
Jesus Christ.
Police said that it took nearly half a year for authorities to arrest Lanch because of the woman's health, which delayed the investigation, even though she reported the crime 5 days after the incident. She was able to identify the priest in a lineup, which, by the way, that's got to be the weirdest lineup. It's a bunch of people dressed like priests. So can you imagine the look on this priest's face when she didn't die?
Oh, so is she still alive to this day?
I guess she found a reason to live, and that was to fuck up this priest's fucking life. Because it was
his life is fucked up. Now she just gets to, like, fuck it up in a way that he's not happy about.
That's why I said it was the perfect crime, but then she's like, "You made one mistake. You crossed me and let me live, priest." Yeah, just like...
I knew there'd be a little molestation, but this is too many.
I mean, we here at the podcast do not condone molestation, but, I mean, if you're going to molest somebody, I guess it makes sense to molest the almost dead, you know what I mean, the hospice people?
Maybe, but I mean, I've seen Kill Bill Volume 2, and you got to understand that that doesn't always go well for people.
Well, I do also like the
Like
part
in this
where
case too.
he tried to put his hand in her diaper and was unable to.
Yeah, good, but also gross on a number of levels. Gross.
So, he's gonna go to jail, and he's gonna have to tell the story in jail. It's gonna be great.
Ay, God. And then the warden will put his hands in this guy's diaper.
Yeah, so that's in It Was a Perfect Crime news. He could, if convicted, he could be sentenced to a year. Only a year in jail.
1 year? Seriously?
That I don't know, man. Trying to like molest the soon to be deceased seems like that should carry a little bit more weight.
I mean, yeah, you get more jail time than that for being black in public.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just, man, if I was the cop, this dude would have fallen down a couple times on the way to the station, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I would have been like, he resisted! Sir, stop resisting!
I'm having trouble even coming up with jokes for this, because it's just like, yeah, this guy's like a gross lady nipper. I don't know. I don't know.
I love that she. I love that.
I mean, maybe he has a bright future ahead of him in the U.S. Congress, but maybe not, because they prefer the ladies that they molest to be younger.
I love that she was going to die. She was in hospice, and this woman hung the fuck on to fucking fuck this dude. Like, hats off to you, lady. That's awesome.
That is very commendable.
Yeah.
So not all heroes wear cape. In fact, some wear diapers, and they'll fuck your life up if you try to stick your hand in them.
Some wear diapers and are dying from complications of diabetes.
Yep.
So the other segment that we started doing today is where we solve a problem, and what are we calling this segment? Is it Dear Abby News?
Well, they're basically Dear Abby segments where people write into someone in the newspaper to ask them for advice.
Yeah.
Now, nobody's writing in to ask us for advice, so we're just taking other people's stories that have been written to different newspapers. Better newspapers, maybe, but who knows? Actually, last week, we talked about one guy who got terrible advice from a paper, so maybe they're not more qualified than us.
I mean,
But
yeah.
anyway, so we're taking these stories and giving our earnest opinion, which maybe the person who wrote the story won't hear it, but you guys at home may have something similar to these.
How cool!
And we'll help you through it.
How cool would that be if the person that wrote into Dear Abby was like, "That was my Dear Abby, and I also listened to your show," and I'd be like, "Thank you, Wesley."
Oh, you heard about the time that me and my dad had a dispute over who gets to be on top during the hockey game? Oh, ha! Wait, what?
All right. So it says, Dear Abby, I take care of 2 girls, and I have never asked for money from their dad, because they are poor. I go to great lengths to make sure they get the same advantages as everyone else. I took the girls to a hair salon because I wanted them to feel pretty. And when it was the youngest girl's turn, the stylist found lice in her hair. She was at what they call an infestation period. After that, it's an infection, and then baldness. So, right there, before I even go on, lice don't cause baldness. You can live quite a while with a full head of lice-ridden hair. I just want to throw that out.
Yeah. The baldness comes from trying to shave yourself to get rid of them.
He comes on to say, I went to their father and asked about the lice. He knew the entire time that she had lice, and he didn't warn me or my family. Abby.
That's fucked up, then.
He knowingly put my loved ones at risk. Okay, that's a bit much.
Well, yeah, it's not risk.
He isn't a good parent, and he doesn't make the youngest shower or take lice treatments. I know he doesn't care about the lice, so he's probably making her go to school despite the lice policy. What should I do? Infested in California.
Tell the school that the kid has lice. Also, don't send them to school and shave the girl's head. She's going to hate it, but at least you get rid of the lice. Actually, isn't there a special shampoo that can maybe take care of that?
You know, it's not the 1900s anymore. There's just a shampoo you can use.
Well, I mean... how much do you like the girl? Like, if you have something against her, like if she interrupted you during your favorite stories, be like, oh, sorry, honey, we got to shave your head. And then you can just snicker at her, being all like, oh, no, I'm bald.
Well, my whole thing is...
what should you do is fucking tell tell the school so that they can tell parents to have their kids checked for lice, and also like take care of your girl's lice, and be sure to tell your husband that this shit is not okay, and you do not just let them have parasites and do nothing about it.
Well, two things. Number one, I'm guessing
you
that
just
the
gotta
guy.
make sure that he understands that this.
I'm guessing that the guy writing in is a Second Amendment person. Just something
Oh, yeah?
about the like, he put my loved ones at risk. I'm like, I'm also going to bet that the parents that have the lice kids are probably anti-vaxxers. You know?
Well, you don't want to vaccinate against the lice. What?
Dear Abby
Get your kids vaccinated.
Dear Abby goes on to tell him that you should have warned you, of course, and you should also be watching his children to make sure that they shower regularly, but keep an eye on him because he may be neglecting his kids in other ways. I'm going to go ahead and say that I feel like if you have knowingly have a child with lice and you don't treat it, I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure they could come take your kids away.
That could be possible, actually. Like,
It's
this might be a case for defects.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure Child Protective Services, that would probably fall under neglect if they're like, Mr. Stevens, your child has lice, and you're like, I know, but we're very natural in this family, and I just think that a child should be exposed to lice, and they should get over it on their own to strengthen their immune system.
Yeah, that's not how lice works. Lice never goes away on their own. You get rid of them.
Well,
you take care of that shit.
They either go away, you either get rid of them, or they take over the entire human race like they used to.
Yeah, and then everyone's itchy all the time.
Me personally, I would have a hard time not shaving the parent's head.
Yeah.
I think what I would do to him is I would catch him, and I would do like that Nicolas Cage movie with the bees where I have him like tied up, and then I put a cone around his head, and then I just
the Wicker Man.
Yeah, and then I just Wicker Man him, but instead of bees, it's lice, and he's like, the lice,
Yeah.
Just leave him
with the lice cage over him, and then put him in the giant cow, and then set it all on fire. It's burning!
But at least we get rid of the lice. But yeah, I mean, that's weird to just not treat your kids' lice. Like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, that's no bueno. And Abby actually did have a good point on he's probably neglecting them in other ways.
Yeah, you're probably seeing the tip of the dirty iceberg. I wonder if this guy is the same priest from the other story.
You think just the priest is running around molesting corpses and giving their kids lice?
Or just not treating lice. All right, in the big news today, the Mueller Report. Or did you have some
wait.
news?
We still have plenty of stuff. Are you ready for the That's Cute news for the week?
Yeah.
So, under Donald Trump, and this actually kind of is a good follow-up on everything else that we've been talking about. Under the Trump administration, with them rolling back regulations on businesses, nursing homes have seen health code violations breached at wait, hold on, I'm misreading this. Nursing homes that do breach health code violations have had their fines reduced by 25%. So health codes that get violated have seen a stark increase.
Yeah, because a bunch of rich people have money in like nursing home corporations, and let's face it, no one's gonna listen to Grandma when she's just like, they come in my room at night and beat me with rubber hoses.
Yep. Oh, crazy old Grandma. Speaking of crazy old people,
nursing home violations. Dude, nursing home violations are fucked up. Like, there was an old lady that was almost eaten to death by fucking mites.
Jesus.
Yeah, she just had like an infection and it just fucking spread, and like they just were just like, map. Yeah, like
So, God. So speaking of people dying and everything's horrible news, did you hear the news about Steve King, the scary one?
Which guy was Steve King again? Refresh my memory.
He's the racist motherfucking congressperson who needs to be booted out.
Oh yeah. What happened to Steve King? Did he die?
He says that he wants there to be a new civil war because he bets that, quote, 8 trillion bullets would help the GOP win a hypothetical civil war.
We've discussed this before, but the Civil War is not going to break down North versus South, GOP versus Democrat. If anything, the Civil War is going to look a lot more like it does in like Syria or like some of these places in some of these countries in Africa. where you have different like resistance groups fighting against the central government, but also fighting against each other. It's gonna be
Yeah.
ugly, man.
Yeah, and that's what Steve King wants to see. And this is why we need to boot this asshole out of Congress, one of many reasons. But whenever you get someone that's clearly as deranged as this asshole, he gets to keep feeding the paranoia of the paranoid.
Or Steve King needs to be shot in the leg with a mini ball and then have his leg hacked off with a fucking saw with no anesthetic, and then get gangrene and then be like, "Well, how do you feel about that wall, Mr. Steve King? It sure was a dilly, wasn't it?"
Yep. So let's see a couple more stories. In Trump's Hollow Skull news, he asked in a recent interview, "Why isn't Brazil in NATO?" Because Trump says he's going to call a bunch of people to find out why Brazil isn't in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me throw that one. I was going to say, let me handle that one, Pat. You mean, why isn't Brazil, a South American country, in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization? You dumb fuck.
Yeah.
Well, that's only because his new best bud in Brazil, this guy Bolsonaro, is like a super fucking Hitler-esque guy. Like,
yeah, Trump really loves his Hitler-esque people, his dictators, his people that kill everyone around them.
Why do you think that Trump hasn't grown a tiny little mustache yet?
Because I don't think any of the hair on his head's real.
You think he's got alopecia?
Yes.
I saw a picture of somebody that said what Trump would look like with his real hair and his real color and like a beard. Honestly, if he stopped with that weird hair and grew a beard, he would look pretty decent, like normal for like a human.
Yeah, but I mean, I like the Photoshop versions of him where they turn his whole head to the same color that his eyes are, and so he's just like this sickly pale look, and then they trim him down to bald, and he just looks ugly and deflated.
Yeah,
those are always fun too. In Red Line news, Trump once said, "Oh wait, hold on," going back to the NATO thing and him not knowing where Brazil is on a map. Oh fuck, what's the Dilbert creator's name again?
Oh, Scott. I almost called him Scott Summers. Scott Adams.
Yeah, Cyclops, Scott Summers. Scott Adams once said that he really didn't want Gary Johnson to be president. He's like, "That's a great idea. Someone that doesn't even know where every country is on the map." Whenever they asked Gary Johnson in an interview, it's like, "What do you think of this country's war?" And he's like, "What country's that again?"
No, they didn't give him a country. They gave him a city. They're like, "What about Aleppo?" And he was like, "What?"
Yeah, so Scott Cawthon, I keep forgetting his name.
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams was, super hard up about that. He's like, "That proves that Gary Johnson ain't going to be a good president of the United States." But now that Trump clearly doesn't know where the fuck Brazil is on a map or what NATO is, either one's a possibility, Scott Lang is completely quiet about this. He has nothing to say.
Scott Adams. Scott Lang, you fucking asshole.
No.
The problem is you're attacking the intelligence of someone else, and you're just like, and meanwhile, Scott Lang, Scott Samson, Scott Johnson.
But I never said someone shouldn't be president because they forgot someone's name. Anyway, in Red Line news, Trump once said that going after his finances was a red line that Mueller should never cross. And well, the FBI raided the office of Trump fundraiser Elliot Brody in a money laundering probe. Now, here's the fun fact about Elliot Brody, is that Michael Cohen once named 3 people who were his clients: Trump, Lumpy, and Brody. Yes, this Brody.
Like, I'm just waiting for Lumpy to go down. Please, take down Lumpy.
Lumpy is in the axis of evil now. He needs to be coming up soon. And now, finally, the last axis of evil news before we can get to the big news story of the day: Trump versus Mr. Kellyanne Conway.
That was weird. So Kellyanne Conway serves the Dark Lord, and her husband hates the Dark Lord. It's got to make for an interesting marriage dynamic, don't you think?
Yeah, he says that he gets away with not yelling at his wife about her job by yelling into Twitter, but now Trump has gotten on his case and has started to respond to it, and he's trying to tear their marriage apart. And Trump is like, "And you are the husband from hell. I don't see how Kellyanne puts up with you." And it's like, Trump is the guy that this is proven here, right? That he cheated on his current wife while she is pregnant with their baby with a porn star that he paid $160,000 hush money to. And he also cheated on his previous wife with his current wife, and the wife before that with the second wife. And he is clearly the husband from hell. Like, that's why when he first moved into the White House, they didn't even live in the same building together for like 6 months. Like, they're never seen together. She won't hold his hand. She clearly hates him.
Well,
and also, not to mention that she's like 30 years younger than him, and she's just a trophy wife. But never mind that.
I'm gonna say that
he calls other people the husband from hell and tries to break up their marriages. And he didn't spend a short amount of time on this, by the way. They went back and forth all week, insulting each other. Mr. Kellyanne Conway, posting facts about narcissistic personality disorder, saying that Trump has all these symptoms. So Trump lashed out at that, and he's like, "It's like Trump's trying to prove my point." And then Trump responded to that, and they keep going back and forth. And it's like, oh my God, do you not have a country to take care of? Clearly not, because when he wasn't doing this, he was attacking John McCain for 3 days straight.
Now that was weird. Was John McCain? I don't know if you guys know this, but John McCain has actually been pretty quiet on Twitter lately, because he fucking died, and has been dead.
Trump doesn't get why John McCain never thanked him for that funeral he gave him.
Yeah.
He said that! I'm not joking! Trump's like, and then John McCain never thanked me for that funeral I gave him. I had to sign off on him getting the exact funeral he wanted. He never said thank you. Because he died!
So there was a thing that I listened to the other day, and it actually really makes me think about Trump. It was these parents that were managing. They had a child who was autistic, and it was how difficult it was to deal with him because the child, he ended up being like 6 feet, 250 pounds. He was a big guy, and it can be a real challenge to raise an autistic child. But one of the things they said struck me was when they were like, because they finally had to take him to a specialized place where he could receive care and structure, all day, more than his parents could provide. They go like, I like to think that, maybe he wonders if we still love him, but they go, but I also wonder, because of the autism, if he can actually conceive that other people are people and have an inner life like he does, or if he just sees them as, things or objects. Because it's hard for certain people on the autism spectrum to conceive that other people, I guess, are people or have, feelings and like depth of thought and emotion, right?
Ah, right. That does sound a lot like Trump.
Well, I'm not insulting autistic people by saying that Trump's autistic. I'm just saying I can't imagine that Trump thinks that other people have an internal life or sees people other than objects just objects, man. Like, not real people.
Yeah, that's that could be because Mr. Kellyanne Conway posted the narcissistic personality disorder chart, and part of that is to say that not only does he have an inflated sense of self-worth, but he just has this need to marginalize everyone else in his own brain to sort of push them out in a way, and that anyone that's not all on board with him is disingenuous about not being all on board with him, right? Like, you see it in the way he talks about his critics. Like, anyone that's not 100% on board with him is because they're very dumb, or it's because they're another low IQ individual, which is what he said about Joe Biden recently, or because he sees them as someone who is with him, but they're pretending like they're not with them because they have an angle or a scheme or a gimmick. His brain's just falling apart. He knows how he's been manipulating people his whole life, and now he sees everyone else as doing the same thing.
He's like the old person that, we don't believe that they're going in and beating grandma with rubber hoses, because grandma's also like, and then the Cubans are coming in and they're stealing my jewelry. Mm-hmm. Shut up, grandma, you're delusional.
Yep. Well, and that's all the news for the week, so I guess we can wrap it up.
Well, there was that really great Guardian piece we didn't get to read the other day where the British guy brings up a really good point about Trump. He never laughs. He never jokes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
we had
it was so good.
That Trump's such an inhuman monster because he doesn't share the same traits as like normal thinking people do. Like, he doesn't laugh, not with mirth, right? Like, if Trump screws someone over real good, he'd be like, I got him. But he never laughs like joyfully. He never shows any sort of human emotion about, that's delightful, that's funny. Mirth in the laughter. true joy, genuine joy. He never expresses those
Well,
feelings.
all his jokes are just him, like going after people, but there's never just him making a joke for like, hey, so why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side? Get it? Like none of that.
Right. And I mean, and also a lot of his quote unquote jokes are things like, nothing you can do about it, folks, nothing you can do. Like, that was written off as being a joke. Otherwise, he just suggested that people shoot Hillary, right?
Yeah.
Which he did suggest people should shoot Hillary if she wins. But they had to quickly, spin that to where he didn't just commit a fucking crime in public.
Hey.
But he did,
Hey.
and then they elected him as fucking president.
What about her emails though?
Yes, what about her emails? Oh, speaking of Hillary's emails, Jared Kushner was in the news for using WhatsApp in his personal emails so that he can communicate with Trump and then make all the messages disappear, which is actually extremely illegal because everything the president handles needs to be archived.
Yeah.
And they can't do that because this is an email scandal with Jared fucking Kushner, which has security clearance, also as a part of another scandal where the president forced him to have security clearance against the wishes of so many different intelligence agencies that were saying, no, he has his hands in so many different honeypots all across the world. He's in deep with a bunch of foreign adversaries.
You can take a breath.
Don't give him security clearance.
Sometimes on the show I feel like you're kind of like Bubba Gump. I'm sorry, what was Bubba? Did we ever get Bubba's last name? You're like Bubba from Forrest Gump, but instead of shrimp recipes, something triggers you, and then you just go off and you list all of Trump's crimes.
Well, yeah, it's a podcast. I need to fill it up with words, angry words.
And then there was the Kushner crime, and then there was the money laundering crime, and then there was the obstruction of justice crime. I think that's about all the crimes there are.
And Trump committed them all.
So fuck that dude.
It's like if you talk about the 7 deadly sins, I mean, Trump is the embodiment of all 7 of them.
I don't know why we're trying to hold him to any particular standard. I just feel like we're long past that.
Because he is still here and he's still badly hurting America, and I can't even fathom why the Christian right wants to continue to coddle him and pretend like he's a decent human being. He should have a 2% approval rating.
Because they're not the Christian right. They're the Christian white, man.
Yeah, that's basically it. But even then, he's making really bad decisions that are really bad for them.
Hey.
Oh, he might be protecting them from the brown boogeyman, but there is no brown boogeyman. They have to be smart enough to know that there really isn't a threat from them, right?
Nope. Because they're all fear-driven, and fear's illogical. So as long as he protects them from the brown people, they'll do whatever, man. I mean, look at post-World War I Germany, when Hitler's like, it was the Jew. When really it was a bunch of really bad political decisions and a really terrible war and a really unfair, peace treaty at the end of it that hurt Germany, not the Jew. But people still went around with it because they were afraid and they were angry, and it's much easier to blame a single person than it is to blame, like, climate change. It's a faceless enemy, whereas you can look in the face of Mexicans and be like, call ICE right now.
Technology and progress is wiping out the coal mining jobs, and also coal mining is a fucking awful job anyway. Progress needs to come in and take care of all that shit, and the people who were coal miners can work at the new jobs, can work at the windmill plants or whatever, and they don't have to die of lung rot. But it's so much easier for them to be like, the Mexicans took my job!
I think we need to put a face on climate change.
Go with that route.
I think we need to blame climate change on somebody or something.
And give it an orange face and be all like, it's Trump. Trump's doing it. And then everyone can hate the big orange boogeyman like we do.
Get people real scared. All right, we ready to go into Mueller news?
Right, so the joke I'd made earlier is, well, I guess that's all the news for this week. I guess we can wrap up now. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, wait, there was that other thing.
So I actually think that we're prematurely reporting on this, but,
Definitely. I mean, that's why fucking CNN and MSNBC is putting out legitimate fake news today about it.
I'm tired. I'm so tired of this that, with the Mueller investigation, I've basically done I don't know if you heard that Lonely Island song, I Came in My Pants.
I have not heard that one. I've heard a lot of Lonely Island.
It's a bunch of stuff where he's like, I open my window and a breeze rolls in and I came in my pants.
Is that a newer song?
No, it's an old one. But that's how I felt about the Mueller report in the beginning. I'm like, Trump committed a crime, and Mueller started investigating, and I came in my pants. And then it just got to the point where I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous. I gotta
Now here's coming out next week, and I came in my pants, and it didn't. But the week after that, surely it will, and I came in my. And now to date, it actually concluded. His investigation concluded. His Trump-Russia investigation probe concluded. But the public still doesn't have the report.
Well, what's weird about it is all the other investigations they talk about. This is actually the quickest investigation that's ever happened. Like I think the Iran Contra affair ran like 7 years. Like there's
7 or 8 years.
The one on Bill Clinton didn't wrap till like a few years ago. Like they usually last a long time. Yeah. So
that's because some of them, like the one against Bill Clinton, was just a political hit job. That was a legitimate witch hunt, and they were trying to look for anything, and they managed to find Monica, and then that scandal was kept alive for a long time because everyone just loved giving that poor lady hell.
Yeah, on that scandal, I honestly think now looking back, he should have willingly stepped down. I think he should have stepped down from the presidency, not because he had an affair, because he had an affair with a 20-year-old. Was she 20 at the time? She's very young, and then lied about it.
22.
And then lied about it under oath, and then if he had told the truth, I wouldn't have given a shit. But the lying about it and stuff like that, it's like, man, step down.
Well, hold on, let's see if I can do my Bill Clinton voice. That depends on what you... I can't do it. It sounds like Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
That depends on what your definition of is.
You gotta...
I used to have a really good Bill Clinton.
Well, you gotta... With Clinton, it's all sultry and sexual. You gotta slow down and be like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
That depends on what your definition of is.
You're still burning it, man. You're still burning it.
With the millionaires and the billionaires.
I know. Oh, well, screw it.
So yeah, they're releasing
what
the report.
We're looking at today is a series of misinformations getting spewed about. The primary one that everyone's going to hear is that there will be no further indictments coming out on this probe.
Let me ask you this. Why are they speculating when right now, there's shit going down in the Ecuadorian embassy where Julian Assange of WikiLeaks has been hiding out from several governments,
it's surrounded right now. He might be arrested soon.
Yeah, why the fuck is that not tip top of the news thing? Who gives a shit about speculating on a report that
because the Mueller Report is something that everyone's been waiting.
But Julian Assange is
Skype's
really
lagging us again.
Pause for editing. Poor network connection. Poor network connection. Poor network connection.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you again. All right,
Bill
so
Clinton,
let's just
can
power
you hear
through this
me?
so I don't have to keep doing more. Bill Clinton, can you hear me? do you want to build an indictment? Anyway, okay, so let's power through this before Skype cucks the connection again. So I've lost my train of thought. All right, the no more indictments. A few things. One, there's 12 sealed indictments that are still coming down the pipelines. Those are still going to happen. Those aren't new indictments. Those are old ones, but they're still sealed. They're still being processed by different grand juries.
Why do you think they're sealed? Is it because they're being processed, and will we get to see the indictments?
Because yes and yes. We will definitely get to see them. That's not something that Trump can hide. It's probably because they're very high-profile things, like the indictment for Trump Jr., the indictment for Jared Kushner, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The really big bombshell ones. So it would make sense that the report would be out before they start asking for the president's son to be arrested, for instance.
Now, are they going to try to prosecute him on a federal level, or are they going to prosecute him on a local level?
It'll almost certainly be both, so that Trump can't stop it.
Yeah, because I was like, he hasn't really flexed the pardoning power, although he did pardon Scooter Libby and Joe Arpaio, which was weird. But he hasn't pardoned any of the big actors yet.
The other thing is that after the report is in the hand of the Congress and they can actually look at all the accusations, then they get to do further indictments themselves. They can put more grand juries up to look into more things, and they can demand more information and start more investigations into all of this. But Congress has not gotten their hands on the report yet because Bob Barr? Whatever his name is.
Yes.
Roseanne Barr has a hold of this report.
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams has the report, and as the secret identity of Cyclops, he is going to blast the fuck out of it and redact. I don't know how much of it he's going to redact. I don't know if he's going to try to stick his neck out to protect Trump, or if he's going to do the right fucking thing and see that justice is done for the sake of America. He might try and protect Trump. He might try to hide this thing. We might not see the Mueller report for 10 years. We may have to wait until we get a Democratic president to see the Congress successfully subpoena this thing.
I highly fucking doubt it, just because Bob Barr, say what you will about him, he's a savvy political guy, and I don't think he has any real... He already had this job once, so I don't think he really, is going to go out of his way to protect Trump.
I hope not. I really, really hope not. I hope that he's like old school Republican, and he's gonna. I hope that he wants to spin the narrative as in, oh, the Republicans, Mueller, the Republicans, me, step forward and save the country from this bad guy who's not really a Republican. So let's not call him that.
I think he's gonna.
And then they'll try to rewrite history.
I think he's gonna pass it off to Congress and because that's not anything anybody wants to hold.
Yeah, hot potato. I'm pretty sure the fucking Democrats want to hold it. Hell yeah, give it here. Because that's what all the Democrats are united in saying. They put out their statements immediately, release the whole thing immediately to the American people. They don't even want it released to Congress. They just want the whole thing made public. Every period, every comma, everything.
Yeah, no, I agree.
They want the whole thing unredacted.
I did like the Fox News speculation where Fox News was like, the fair thing to do and the just thing to do would be immediately release it to Trump and his legal team and let them have it first. And then the fair thing would be to give them the option, the president's legally binding option, to put the only copy of it in a fireplace while rubbing their hands maniacally. That's the only fair thing to do. And we hear at Fox News, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. You guys are so full of shit.
Yeah, they really did want the president's legal team to be able to have their way with it before anyone else sees it. And the public can only see the version of it that's released by his legal team. It's like, yeah, right. Go fuck yourselves.
What other criminal investigation do you go... what kind of mob investigation they like? Hey, listen, the really fair thing to do would be to give Fat Tony all the evidence, right? And then, Fat Tony can decide what's released. Like, when is that ever a fucking thing that you do?
Never, but that's why Mueller from the get-go has treated Trump like a mafia investigation, right? Like, he was going by the take down the mob playbook, which tells me there's probably something really fucking bad in that final report, and we're just going to have to hold our breaths and wait to see how many weeks or months it's going to be before the public gets to even, glint at it. But this weekend, sometime this weekend, Barr says that he's going to release a summary of the report to Congress, but we won't know if he's faithfully releasing a report. Even if he releases Trump's crimes, there could be Lindsey Graham's crimes and Mitch McConnell's crimes that never come out.
And the crimes were in Lindsey Graham's house and Mitch McConnell's house and Ed's house.
It probably, Lindsey Graham probably is connected to this because he decided to stick his neck out and block the thing from going through the Senate, right? Yeah. So the House passed 420-0 to have this thing released publicly when it's finished.
I know.
And then Lindsey Graham's like, no, the Senate can't see it. There will be hell to pay.
I know that you're all doom and gloom.
Wait, that's a bad Lindsey Graham impression. Let me try again. There will be hell to pay if the public sees this.
Listen here, Mr. Man. I'll tell you something. He talks just like my Southern grandma. He's gonna snatch a knot in your hide. I tell you what.
Tell you what.
Look, I know you're all doom and gloom, and that your view on this is just like Trump the Dark.
He's gonna get away with it because
the Dark Lord will. Yeah, you're kind of like
he's above the law. He's above the law. What are we gonna do? Nothing you can do about it, folks.
You're making me feel like Gandalf in this, and that Trump is like Sauron, and you're just like the Dark Lord will rule for 1,000 years, and I'm just like,
You shall not pass.
Yeah, exactly.
Slam.
No, I look like I'm pretty good either way. So either we the planet's destroyed and we drive around the desert in go-karts, fighting homoerotic guys and assless chaps for gasoline, or we wrap this whole fucking thing up. But
why not both?
Why not both? Well, I don't know about you, but I've been watching a lot of Doomsday Preppers, and I gotta say, I'm gonna outlive all those people.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I don't know if you know about the show Doomsday Preppers. Basically, people are prepping for Doomsday, and they're like, society is going to fall apart, and the only thing that's going to save my family is
More cowbell.
these jugs of Gatorade and my gun in my house. And I go, well, the first thing you fucked up was showing your survival shelter on TV. Seems like a bad idea. But secondly, meanwhile, while you're trying to fight the hordes off at your house, I'm going to be getting in really good shape running. And I'm going to read about I got books on medicinal plants and plants that you can eat. I'm going to be spending my money on that. So while you're just like trying to defend your house and your jug of Gatorade, I'm going to be living like Robin Hood and the Merry Men of Sherwood Forest.
All right, wife, we're out of Gatorade. It's time to eat the bullets.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm ready for
The end of the world?
I guess so. I mean, it's been a good run, right?
Yeah.
My fear is that my fear is the world's going to end, but it's going to drag on slowly until we're in our like 60s or 70s, and then we got to compete with all these young bucks at the end of the world, you know?
Oh, yeah, that is going to suck. Like right now, we could reasonably, cut off our own swath of land and rule it for 10 years before the plague gets us. But whenever we're old, like some young kid's gonna eat my brains for breakfast, and then I'll be like, I'm dead, and he'll be like, I have a brain. It's not gonna be good for me. It's not gonna be good for old Pat.
This is Pete.
Oh no,
this is Pete and Pat in the apocalypse. But yeah, so the thing hasn't come out yet, but everybody's already frothing at the mouth.
Don't worry, Pete. I know that you're having your brain eaten, but I found this priest, and he says that he can lotion you up for your final rites.
That was the other thing about that news story was like, he's like, this is holy water, and she's like, okay. And then he's all like, this is the holy lube.
Gross.
Yeah. Fucking goddamn. So can we all agree that maybe we should just do like those townsfolk did in that one Old West story where they were so mad at the mayor that they ripped his house apart by hand and threw it in the river? Can we do that to the Catholic Church? If you guys,
something we do it to Trump, like tear Mar-a-Lago apart brick by brick, throw it all into the ocean.
That's fine too, but I'd like to start with all the Catholic Church's properties. If you're listening to this, what I'd like you to do is get some friends, go to your local Catholic diocese, and just start ripping it apart. Don't hurt anybody. Don't bring any weapons. Just get enough people to rip all these Catholic churches apart by hand and then throw them into the goddamn river.
Speaking of throwing things into the river, I also wanted to point out that the no indictments from Mueller's team, they're still going to be releasing indictments, by the way, just not on the Trump-Russia probe in particular, right? Mueller is actually going to be hanging around indefinitely until he has overseen the transition of new investigations to new hands.
If you could
in that time, he can still put out more subpoenas about for other things.
If you could not get Al Capone for murder, who like machine gun dudes on Valentine's Day, but you got him for tax evasion, that's the thing about Trump. Okay, so maybe you are unable to really nail him for collusion. Not to say that he didn't collude, but most prosecutors go for the case they know they can win. It'd be very hard to get a president on full collusion like that. But you can definitely nail him for other crimes. And, I mean, isn't that what we're all about?
Yeah, nail him for anything. I mean, the House is already moving to try and get his tax returns, which he's been scared to death to let anyone see.
Yeah, because he fucking has no inner monologue, so he just says everything he thinks and then puts it on Twitter.
Also, it does look like he is legitimately not at all a billionaire, because this other thing that came out recently that I meant to bring up last week, or maybe I did, but his net worth as of, I think 20 years ago was like $800 million. But he inflated that to $3 billion to get into this one magazine, and then he used that to like take a loan of some $1 billion, which he wasn't able to pay back until the Russians gave him the money to pay it back. And there's all this other shit that came out recently in a Forbes interview.
Yeah, well, that's gonna get him in trouble by like inflating his taxes and stuff like that. Like that's gonna really like fuck him over.
Definitely. So all of that's going to be wonderful once we can see his taxes and see, a lifetime of him destroying his father's inheritance. So he's never earned a dime in his life. Don't misunderstand. All the people saying, well, at least he's a billionaire and he knows how to make a buck. No, he was given all of his money and he fucked up everything he's ever tried to do.
Well, what might eclipse all this is the United States just reported the biggest deficit ever in U.S. history recently, so that's going to be fun to deal with.
Yeah, that's another thing. So Trump has another first. Oh, speaking of first, though, let's talk about good news for a change.
Oh, good
Jimmy
news.
Jimmy Carter's in the news. Jimmy Carter is just about to be the oldest living president ever.
Who was the oldest living president before Carter?
I don't know.
Long may Carter reign.
Long may Carter reign indeed. Yeah, so it just goes to show you, if you're a nice person and you build houses, then God won't kill you young. See? Punishment handed out unequally to the truly just versus the people that are like just, Catholic but dying of the plague also, because maybe they're not that just.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and come
I
out
don't
and
know.
say here, based on current events, there is no God, and
Yeah, because Trump is given all this endless power. Now, one thing that I was hoping for when this started was, that saying about how God, whenever he really wants to punish someone, will raise him up to the highest of highs before smashing him down to the lowest of lows. I'm like, yeah, so when Trump loses to Hillary, he'll be humiliated and will shuffle away. And nope, that shit didn't happen. Well, what about if he's getting lifted even higher? Yeah, but he's fucking over a lot of people for a long time while we're waiting for him to be yanked out like the cancerous tumor he is.
well, it looks like we'll have to live with this toothache for a little bit longer. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm oversaturated with news. It's just I'm past the point of being enraged where I'm like, do you want ants? Because this is how you get dictators.
Yeah, I mean, when Trump can just do 20 things a week that would destroy the career of any other president, but it's just water off a duck's back at this point because, like, his entire campaign, he's protected by the bed and Nels effects where there's such an astronomical number of things wrong with them, the public just can't keep it all in mind. Whereas, Obama and Hillary might have like one thing that Fox News bitched about once, and so they'll always be able to bring that up. Also, there was the fake investigation into Benghazi, led mostly by Nunes. So I'm glad that he's getting pissed off by a cow, the thin-skinned bastard.
You thin-skinned bastard. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's upsetting, but what can you do?
Make a podcast and yell about it for hours.
Yeah, man. That's all. Sometimes that's all you can do. Make a podcast, gather 5 or 6 listeners randomly, and then talk about it.
Yep.
All right,
5 or 6 or Wesley. Just Wesley.
Or just Wesley.
Hey, Wesley, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. Oh, ha, ha, nipple pinching.
One of these days, we got to get Wesley on the podcast so people can see he's real and not a figment of our imagination.
He recorded a thing for us once, and I tacked it on at the end of a podcast.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He is real. He lives.
Yeah, wasn't that the turnip story?
I don't even remember, man.
It was something, and then I added it to the podcast just because that would be fun.
This podcast has lasted longer than most relationships I've been in, if that tells you anything.
Hell yeah. Go Muckrakers. 4 more years. 4 more years.
4 more years.
So after this podcast wins and we've dethroned Trump, what are we going to do next?
I guess just like the Mueller investigation, we're going to shut it down and move on with our lives.
Maybe. I was hoping it would just be like one long That's Cute segment or one long Dear Abby. Do like 10 Dear Abbies and then call it a week.
Yeah, we just shift to responding to Dear Abbies.
We are the Abby Rakers.
I like that idea.
Abby Rakers. I like that too.
I guess that's the news for today. So remember, if your kids have lice, fucking get them treated. And if your priest attempts to molest you while you're in hospice, seek the help of an adult or a trusted police officer.
And if you're Devin Nunes, please remember that tonight the secret Twitter conspiracy meeting is private and you're not invited.
If you're Devin Nunes, go literally fuck yourself. Fucking fuck your own ass. Like, fuck you, Devin Nunes. You human worm. You piece of trash. I wish you all the worst things in life. And I hope that everything you love tells you that it hates you.
It's time for you to move along, Devin.
I don't want Devin to die. I want Devin.
I just want him to be the C in a human centipede of Putin, Trump, and him.
I just want him to have to work at a car wash or something when he loses all political clout.
That would be amazing. Would you go to have your car serviced by Devin Nunes?
Yeah, and I'd hire homeless people to shit all over it, so he has to give it the hand wash.
Wonderful. That's a good idea.
Maybe we can just hire homeless people to shit on his car. I mean, just cut out the middleman.
That would be fun too. I wonder what Wesley's up to this weekend. Do you think he could get tickets out to Nunes's farm and Should we have Wesley shit on his car, or like scoop up the cow poop and put that on his car? Because Nunes actually has a cow farm, so we can cover his car in his own cow shit.
I think we should just put Wesley in a cow suit and have Wesley just show up and annoy him.
Oh, hello, Nunes. I'm a cow, but I'm not the Nunes cow. Ooh, I'm gonna go shit on your car now. Ho, ha, ho.
What? No!
Fucking Nunes. Well, that's all the news that's fit to talk about. I'm Pete.
And I'm Pat.
And, I don't know, we never got a good sign-off, did we?
Never did. Just have, like, Mar yelling about something.
Boy, you're doing the podcast again, are you? Rawr!
It's Pete and Pat, and Devin Nunes. Go fuck yourself.
It's Pete and Pat and Mar and Wesley in the morning.
That would be a great radio show. Let's make that happen.
We could, but my throat's raw now and I can't do a good Mar voice. But boy, you must watch Fox News. Rawr.
I would love to have
something like that.
I would love to have her on Howard Stern.